This is Kickin and Streamin podcast, a binge watcher's guide to streaming movies, TV series, and stuff. Here are your hosts, Graham and Jocelyn.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Kickin and Streamin podcast. My name is Graham, and with me today, as usual, the very fantastic Jojo, the co-host of co-host. Here we go, Jojo!
Hi there, Graham. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. So, know how to do like, what? Come
on.
on.
I don't know. I'm not feeling the howdy do.
You don't feel the howdy do? Oh, my Lord. You're not feeling the howdy do.
I don't want to fake the howdy do.
Hey, I hear you. I hear you, man. I'm with you. We don't do anything fake around here. We do things because we're about it. So today we bring an episode for you that it's sort of like our closing the year type of episode, isn't it? So
yeah, I guess it really is.
Yeah. So last week we did the year in review.
Yes.
We liked it. It was an actually very, very fantastic episode.
It was a lot of fun.
With that said, this is our last episode of the year. And boy, do we bring you something that is very, very, very good. I didn't think we were going to find such content towards the end of the year, Jojo?
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. It's been a interesting year, so it's good to find something good to talk about.
Yes, definitely. So the movie, actually today we are talking about a movie. It is on Netflix. It is called Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And what a weird title for a movie, but you probably are familiar with August Wilson's play, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So it is based on August Wilson's play, and it is from. I'm not a fan of when plays are translated into movie because I feel like they feel obliged to take some liberties that shouldn't be taken. Sort of like they corrupt the essence of a play in order to turn it into a movie. But I didn't think that was the case here, Jojo. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I felt that you could definitely tell it was sourced from a play. In some of the I guess the blocking, maybe the styling, the dialogue, but at the same time, it didn't feel, as you said, it did not feel disrespectful to the play or feel like it overindulged or anything like that in any way.
Yeah, and I think also the other significant part of this is the fact that this is definitely the very last thing we'll ever see Chadwick Boseman did in live.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, why did we lose such a treasurable young man?
Yeah.
Because what a tragic character he played in perhaps the most tragic moment of his life. And we are going to talk a little bit more about this. But, of course, the task of every week, it is for Jojo to put together a picture of whatever we're talking about. And I don't know anybody else who can do it as good as well as Jojo does. So please, Jojo, take it away.
So we are discussing Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which, as we've already said, is a movie based on a play. The play was written in the 80s, originally performed in the 80s. It is based on a true life character named Ma Rainey. And the play is about a dramatized or fictionalized, imagined recording session spent through most of a day into the evening, where she's recording albums in Chicago for her manager and record producer. And it's all about the story of the blues, the story of the Black experience, the story of the queer experience, and it's set, I should say, in the 20s. So Ma Rainey was a bit of a revolutionist in the fact that she was one of some of the first recording artists to record her music. It was kind of a flash in the pan type thing they considered back then. They didn't really think that recording was going to catch on or become a thing. But she saw the future in that and understood that was be a good way to make some money. And so this just follows the story, kind of a microcosm of her life, the life of her band members. And it's a very emotional, very fraught, very powerful story about the experience of these artists through the day.
Again, that's Jojo for you, putting it as clearly as the day, and at the same time, not leaving you with the sense that everything there is to know that you shouldn't watch this movie. I can't do that. I've never been able to do that. I will spoil it for you if I'm the one tasked to tell you what the movie is all about. But you know what this movie is all about, and now you want to watch it too. Because Jojo does this, right? Jojo, so let's talk about this movie because you've put it very well in perspective for us. Ma Rainey, I think about Ma Rainey in the way that she's portrayed, in the way that the personality that was given to her. And I'm not entirely sure that August Wilson veered off too far from the real Ma Rainey, because I think I heard an old interview with August Wilson, and he was saying he didn't go in to find biographical data because he wanted to create a play about a day in the life of Ma Rainey that was mostly from the perspective of the recording session. But he wasn't telling the life story of Ma Rainey, so he didn't feel like he needed to go after a lot of biographical data. Having said that, Ma Rainey is everything that you see. If you go and do your own little research, Ma Rainey is as flamboyant, as in your face, as boss as she is portrayed by Viola Davis in this movie. And of course, I think the only person who could do such justice to Ma Rainey in her portrayal is Viola Davis. But I keep comparing, like coming back to today's artists that are alive in terms of personality, in terms of flamboyancy. And I think the only person I could compare Ma Rainey to is what's her name, Cardi B, if you will, in terms of the in your face, I'm here to stay type of thing, and you better give me what I'm owed. So what do you think of this comparison? Am I far off?
No, I mean, I wouldn't have made the correlation between the two, but that doesn't mean anything at all. I agree with you because Ma Rainey was definitely someone who understood her worth in the eyes of these contract people, the managers, the money men. And she understood that if she let them walk all over her, then that's what was going to happen. So, and this is portrayed, of course, in the movie, but also in real life. She knew how the world worked, and she was who she was. She was unapologetic about it, and she got what she wanted from these men who controlled everything, just by dint of her strong personality, her intelligence, and her ability to say, nope, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah, and rarely an artist is a good business person, isn't it?
Very true. Very true. Very true. Sadly, very true.
Yeah. And she was like, look, man, I understand the business side of this, and I know that I am the business.
Yes.
Right? And that to me was like, I don't know, like, you know, it is the truth, but like she wasn't romantic about her art,
No,
you know. And
no,
I actually think that was the difference between Ma Rainey and the very ambitious young man that Chadwick Boseman portrayed. The idea of like, yeah, I want to do art, and I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be all of that. And Ma Rainey is like, yeah, I'm all of this, but also I'm in it to make that money.
yes,
And you're gonna pay me what I'm owed. You're gonna pay me what I am worth more than anything else.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's a little bit of maybe in the artist that shies away from that sort of idea of pushing for money, in the sense of they've been told so much, oh, you're selling out, you're this, you're that. And I think that Ma Rainey understood the fact that it wasn't selling out to demand your worth. That just because it's art doesn't mean it's something that isn't going to pay the bills. And she understood that and was able to make that part of her, I guess, legacy.
Yeah, and I also think that one of the things that we must talk about, the screenplay for this was actually written by Ruben Santiago Hudson, which surprised me a lot because we all know Ruben Santiago Hudson is actually a very good actor, and although he's made a career in film, he's very very into Broadway, and so the fact that he wrote the screenplay for this was a bit surprising. I mean, I could have seen if he decided, I'm going to take this to Broadway, but to get with Denzel and say, yeah, let's make a movie of this. And I think that may be what made it feel like it still kept the very essence of the play. Like all of the scenes that we see in the band room, the dialogue is no different from the dialogue, the intensity of a play. For moments, it was watching a play take place in just a little room, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And I did read a review where someone was very unhappy with that someone had made this movie and not pushed it very hard to be a movie and had kept so many of the play elements. They felt that it bogged it down as a movie. I am obviously not a film critic, so I can't speak to that, but I didn't feel that it bogged it down or took anything away from the story to keep it as a play. I felt in some ways it made it much more powerful and interesting. Especially right now, we don't have the ability to go to a play.
Yeah.
So I disagree with them in that a little bit, but I understand what they were trying to say. If you're going to make a movie, make a movie. But I feel that the keeping it as a play was as the blocking and the dialogue and everything, I think made it sort of made you understand a little bit more about what was trying to be said.
But again, I think whoever the critic might be is looking at this from a very binary sense of point of view too, because I think we all used to the either a play is a play and cannot be made a movie, or not every play can become a movie. But this particular movie shows that you can actually make a movie out of a play as long as you are willing to respect the origin of the earth, right? And that it was a play, and it can certainly be presented as a play, even though it is a movie. And I think they have done exactly that. And I wouldn't, if I were in charge, if I were part of the production, I wouldn't have changed anything at all.
No, No, I agree.
So let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of the other characters. I want to say there is an incredible piece of critique of the villain in the movie. In one of the brilliant things that I see happening here is that you don't have a specific villain, but rather society at large
Yes.
is the villain here, because the movie is set in the 1920s, as you mentioned before, 1927. And largely what this movie reflects upon is the migration of Black Southerners to the northern states to to have just a tad bit more of freedom. Because at the time, of course, it's still a largely segregated country. Racial divide is as harsh it's ever been. But at the same time, being black in the South was in actual danger to your own life. And so not only were you not able to find work, not only were you not able to live comfortably, but also you had to basically dodge death for the entirety of your life, which is what created the great black migration into the northern state. But the crazy thing is, moving to the north was only a question of, well, at least here I get a job, and I get to create a community and stay within that community, as opposed to you have no rights anywhere in the South, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so within that dynamic, what we see happens here is that Ma Rainey knows that there is success to have in the North, but she understood that in the South, she is sort of like the queen of an entire community, in that she has made a conscious decision of, I'm going to use the North for the business end
Hmm.
of my artistry, but this is where my art is going to be made.
Yes.
Is that how you saw it too?
Yes. Yes, I did. That she understood that if we're going to make money at this, I need to move things to, where the money is. But I'm also going to continue to understand that, my fans and my roots are in the South. But I'm also going to make money at this thing, and I think that's laudable to understand that.
Yeah.
I want to do what I want to do. I'm going to do my thing, and I'm also going to have it pay the bills.
Yes, and it worked. It worked out for her. I want to say, the character played by Chadwick Boseman. I want you to tell me, what do you think of this creation of August Wilson? Because it is a creation.
Yes, Levy is very. He's a very complicated character. He's had an incredibly traumatic youth and upbringing, and with that trauma comes the impression of violence that's left on one's soul when that kind of thing happens to a person growing up. And it's the kind of thing that nobody can ever get over. What happened to him is not the kind of thing that anybody can ever get over. And that dominates and leads his whole life, his whole push, I guess, to do what he wants to do, to be who he wants to be, his whole understanding of how the world works. And there's a lot of great dialogue and monologues from the character that Chadwick Boseman is so transcendent in doing. He is a man who's dying and knows he's dying, Chadwick Boseman. And I don't know if he knew this was going to be his last film, but he certainly put so much of the flame of his life in this portrayal of this very talented, very damaged man that the whole movie is worth everything just to watch him.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did. I think as long as as Chadwick Boseman was on the frame, I just looked at him, and it was almost like, let me take a very last look again and again and again and again, and I almost felt like I should go back and play the movie again, just so I I didn't think that I was gonna feel that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought I was ready because, it's been what? About 5 months since he passed away. It was sort of like in the middle of the summer. And, you think we've gotten used to the fact that he's no longer with us. But I think there's something about knowing that this was his very last one. And you want to sort of like hold on to every word he says, every move he makes, and you want to cherish that performance a little bit more than you ever did. Like, everything else that you saw of him, you probably took for granted because you felt, yeah, he's a young man, he's going to be here for a while.
Right.
But then all of a sudden you're watching the very last time that he did something. And you feel like, yeah. But the character of Levy is a portrayal of a man who has had the same experience of probably of a soldier who's been to war and is living with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is heartbreaking in so many ways because there is a lot of analogies here. The end of the movie is about stepping on my shoes.
Yes.
Stepping on my shoes. But the entire movie is how Levy didn't mind stepping on others' shoes in order to get what he wanted. Because he was young, he was full of life, he was full of ambition, and to a certain extent, immature. So he wasn't very political about getting to where he wanted. And he was playing a game that Rainey had all the life experiences to play that game and win. Whereas he, Levy, was young, immature, inexperienced, and all he had to show for himself was the talent. You may have all the talent in the world, but you need something else. You need something else to push you. You need some help. And you have to take that help where you can. You have to pay your dues. Otherwise, it may end in tragedy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So that was all what I saw in this character. And I'm glad that Chadwick was cast to play this character. And all I could think of and was, Chadwick better be nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and he better not be some posthumous shit. Like anyone who thinks, no, seriously, anyone who thinks that, oh yeah, because Chadwick is dead now, everybody, no. You have to watch this movie, and then you will see to yourself, yeah, man, the man deserves this. It's not about, he's dead and this is the last hurrah for him. No. Had he been alive, he would have deserved it. And in death, he is deserving of every single accolade in this movie.
Yeah. I do wonder, and it's something, of course, that we'll never know, how much of his knowledge of how serious his illness was, colored his performance of this character, because there's so much poured into this character, so much life flame, so much fire, that it's just, I really wonder. I wonder if he knew this was his last film, and it makes me angry and sad all over again. Of course, that he died so young. To see such talent and to know that he would have had so much more to give us. That sounds very selfish to say to give us, but it was so much more to experience and show the world and give the world that we've lost now. So much goodness. And it wasn't just that he was such a beautiful actor, but the fact that he also was a beautiful person.
Yeah.
And a human being, and there's not enough of those left in the world. So losing one of those is just, it adds tragedy. It compounds the tragedy. It makes it even worse.
Yes. Viola Davis. Is there any limit to Viola Davis's talent? Like, seriously.
I don't think there is.
That woman has this incredible superpower. Gosh, like I was looking at her, right? In her ability to forget about makeup, forget about, period dressing and in all of that. The thing is, what I see when I watch anything by Viola Davis is almost as though she just lends her body as a vessel for the character to just be. So to a certain extent, for me, it's not an actress just acting, but rather somebody who got possessed by the spirit of whatever character she is playing. That's the best I can come up with, because I believed every single moment in this movie that Viola Davis was Ma Rainey incarnated.
Yep. I especially enjoyed, I enjoyed all the scenes, but I especially enjoyed the scene about the Coca Cola and getting a cold Coca Cola. And I just felt that was such, it's a small scene and it's such a small thing, you would think, right? A cold Coca Cola. But she was like, I'm not doing this till I get my goddamn Coca Cola. And it was like, this woman, this is the way we all should be.
Yeah.
Whatever your Coca-Cola, whatever your cold Coca-Cola is, this is what we all should be. There should not be any of our, I'm going to do it this way. Nope. I'm not doing shit until I get my cold Coca-Cola. So I loved that. It was perfect. It was perfect. And then her breakdown of it afterwards, saying, they're so cheap. I'm making them so much money, and they're so cheap. They didn't forget my cold Coca-Cola. They're so cheap they don't want to buy me a cold Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was the case or not. That's immaterial. It was just the whole I'm not doing this until I get my Coke, and I am not going to lower my standards for anything, even if it's something as small to you as a cold Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I enjoy her drinking that Coca-Cola. That I paused it.
And I wanted a Coke after that.
I paused it and I laughed, and it was like almost in the middle of the night, right? So obviously my wife woke up and gave me the look. But I'm like, you just look at what she's doing, because you can tell that she was trying to get on their nerves. She was like, you deal with people who are difficult all the time, and you take it. You are not willing to take me as difficult because you don't see me as an artist with worth. You just see some, like, in the way she put it was beautiful. It's just some 50 cent whore that when you get done, you just roll over and pull your pen up.
Yes.
And I'm going to make you work for it.
Yes.
So let's talk about the guys in the band.
Yes.
The only one I know there is Glenn Turman, and I know that he's worked with Viola before. In fact, he has a very nice stint on How to Get Away with Murder. So I know this old dude as a very good character actor. But, of course, he delivered. But the ensemble is almost as if you could tell that they had the experience of being in the play or something, because every word that came out of them in the dialogue was poignant and beautifully said and beautifully acted. What do you think?
They were very they all had great chemistry together. I had no problem believing that they were all in a band together. They played the lines off of each other very well. The camaraderie and the understanding that seemed to come from knowing each other for many, many years and playing together for many, many years, I felt came through on the screen. And, I don't know how much they've worked together in acting, but they certainly made us feel that they were part of a band and were very, very good together, and also you also felt the sort of outsiderness of Levy.
Yeah.
The fact that he was in the group, but he wasn't really in the group.
Yes.
And I felt that was something that it wasn't, to me, it wasn't like an obvious slap in the face thing. It was, you got the feeling after a while that they're not completely comfortable with him. He's kind of a wild card to them. Whereas you could feel the comfort that they all had with each other. Like, we all play off of each other very well.
And I like, there's a moment where Levy actually challenges the character of Glenn Turman, Toledo. Toledo is the proverbial black dude who's always challenging black people to do better, to be better, to do this, to do that, be. And the young character of Levy was like, okay, so what are you doing? Like, right, so you're telling people they should, but what do you do? What are you doing? And then he challenges also, so you hear being comfortable being just someone who just doesn't want to push the page, but yet you keep talking about all of these challenges and be this, be that, wake up and take charge and whatever. So what are you doing? What have you been doing?
Yes.
And you could see that he felt troubled about it. He didn't have an answer for that.
Yes.
And so there's more to this character of Levy than meets the eye. But yes, the notion that this was a solid group that to a certain extent refused or begrudgingly accepted Levy, but were always ready to throw him under the bus. You could see that in it was a nice little ensemble.
I think with Cutler too, you could kind of see an attempt to reach out to Levy to try to say, I've been doing this a long time. I've been down the roads that you've been down, and I know that for us, they're all dead ends.
Yeah.
And didn't want him to get hurt, but he, being the artist that he was, the only way possible was for him to get hurt.
Yeah. I think the most heartbreaking portion of this entire movie are the very two last scenes, and we're gonna leave it for the audience to know But the very, very last scene, as a matter of fact, is what shows the point that Ma Rainey was making in that little. It was a dialogue, but mostly a monologue when she sat with Cutler in the inside the studio and spoke. And I say it was a monologue because Cutler mostly just nodded and agreed.
Yeah.
So that made it a dialogue because there was somebody else there listening and nodding and agreeing. But Ma Rainey's point came to shine, and it showed the naivete of Levy at the end of the day, but also how shamelessly, these producers and managers simply use these black artists to get what they wanted, and then be done with it. No interest in what they could be in the future. Simply, I'll take them off your hands.
Yeah.
And that was it. Movie is produced by Denzel Washington.
Yeah. From what I understand, this is the second in, I think, 10 films that he worked out to be producing and either starring or very deeply involved in. So we have a lot more to look forward to.
Yeah. And I think there's this whole legacy of August Wilson that is in production. So I'd like to definitely see more of that.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you exist in the same universe as some of the greats, you may be as great as them, and no one notices you until people start noticing you.
That's true.
Like when you exist, when you're writing in the same era that James Baldwin is writing, like, yeah, man, you forgive us, but there was James Baldwin, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There is also a couple of analogies to the title of this song and the story that is told within this movie that I also was thinking about, because Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is literally talking about, her black butt. But the story told in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, the movie, in the play, is the very sinkable darkness that people can get to in one day.
It's true.
How your day may start away and then just simply go down the drain.
It's very true.
And so there are two interpretations to Dark Bottom in that respect for me.
Yeah.
But that's, the overthinkingness of Graham. Judge is going to be like, look, man, we didn't see the same movies.
No, that's a beautiful analogy. It's as because this goes from highs to mids to lows to highs to the very bottom of the worst day ever. So yeah, I agree.
Right. So, you can obviously watch this movie on Netflix, and we highly recommend it, don't we, Jojo?
We do.
And so, in this very last episode of the year 2020, we want to take a moment to thank you for your support, for coming back to us every Tuesday. And for those of you who watch us on YouTube, thank you very much for your subscription. And if you are stumbling upon this channel for the very first time, also, we want to thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.
Yes.
On social media, we are there. You can just check out Kickin Streamin Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and Pinterest. You can find Jocelyn on Instagram as
Jocelyn Podcast.
Meanwhile, you will find me as Mr. Puzzetta, MRPUZZETTA. That's MRPUZZETTA. So, we are going to say Happy New Year, I suppose, for the remainder of this year. And we will see you next year. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. For me and for Jojo, we're calling it a day.
Thank
Bye
you,
now.
everybody. Bye.
Ciao.